Hello, this is Jeremy, your game master for the upcoming Spies in the Dark playtest. I'm really excited that you decided to join something kind of different and you're willing to get in that experimental mood with me. I think it's going to be really fun, and I think you're going to enjoy the adventure. I've provided a link to a resources folder that has two files in it. So one of the files is the rules and brief Word document, and what the other is the character keeper spreadsheet. And this video will have roughly two halves. In the first half, I'll be talking about the rules document, and in the second half, I'll be talking about the character sheet. So, without further ado, this is the rules and brief document. If you have time, take a look over this, but um, really it's just the stuff on the first page, and then the rest I'm going to be able to teach you while we play. So this is a dice pool game, which means you're going to be chucking a handful of d6s since we're playing online. A dice bot will be doing that for us. If you throw three dice and one of them comes up a 5 and then you get a 4 and a 3, the only die that matters is the highest one. So that 5 will matter, the 4 and the 3 will not matter, and that will count as a moderate success. Um, the way this is divided up is 1, 2, and 3 are on the low end. 4, 5 is in the middle, and then 6 is what you're trying to go for. It's standard success. So, for example, if you're trying to hit a target, shoot at a target that's 50 meters away, and you roll 6, that'll be a standard success, and you have hit the target. Let's see. The risk factors, I've divided the situation in two. So there are low risk rolls and high risk rolls. So just think if there's danger or time pressure, it's probably going to be a high risk roll. And I will tell you if it's low risk or high risk before you roll. On a low risk roll, since there's not so much of a risk of bad things happening, you do get rewarded for rolling a 1. So rolling a 1, 2, or 3 will result in a tiny success, aka you barely succeed. And then whereas 4 and 5 is in the middle, 6 is at the top. And on both of these, if you roll multiple 6s, that's considered a critical. It is not double effective. It is more like 1.5 effective. But you get a boost from rolling multiple 6s. If it's a high risk, then on the low end, 1, 2, and 3 will result in a failure with consequences. Something bad will happen. On the middle range, 4 and 5, that'll either be mixed success or it'll be reduced effect. And then on a 6, that'll be standard success. If there's a progress clock involved, like so you're trying to unlock a safe in a race against time, then that'll be represented using a clock, and your efficacy is measured in ticks on the clock. So those are indicated here. This section that says, when you investigate, I imagine that'll be about 1/3 of our gameplay, where 1/3 of it will be you asking questions about the world and trying to get information about your opposition, about the mission, about strange technologies, and occult matters by asking questions in character. In reference to your character. What do I see over there? Can I hear anything? When I look out the airplane window, is there something on the wing? Stuff like that. Or by referencing a specific skill. So, name the skill by name, forensics, or human terrain, or criminology, things like that. And I may or may not ask you to roll. If it's obvious, I'll just give you the information. If there's something hidden to be found, potentially I'll ask for a roll. Let's see. Whether the situation is low risk or high risk, Always remember that you can help an ally. Helping is very important in Blades in the Dark, and it only costs 1 stress. There's no skill requirement, so it doesn't matter if you are an expert in electronic surveillance. You can help your friend do electronic surveillance simply by being present and providing effort in the form of stress. Um, see, there are 2 other mechanics that I'll draw your attention to before moving on to the spreadsheet. First, there's an investigative spend. So, when you're exploring the world and looking for clues, I might ask you to make that investigative skill roll. And if it's low, you can upgrade it to a success by spending 1 stress. And I'm calling this an investigative spend. This is me sort of folding some gumshoe stuff into a Blades in the Dark framework. And that is similar, but not the same as pushing yourself. So for general skills specifically, and especially if it's a higher risk role, you spend stress before the roll, and that's going to be aligned with standard regular Blades in the Dark, where you spend 2 stress before the roll to gain 1 bonus die. And that's sort of like helping. With the help mechanic, you're declaring before the roll as well. Whereas with investigative spends, you're declaring after, because I want this system to be very generous when it comes to gathering information. There's a lot of information to be had. The rest of this I am content to explain during play. Just know that Devil's Bargain is a name of a mechanic and Flashback is a name of a mechanic. We don't have to know that before we play. I don't imagine the panic mechanic will come up during a one-shot playtest, but we'll see. And at the end here, I've included some media touchstones. So if you've never played a spy thriller type RPG, or if you're not too immersed in the fiction, um, uh, Ken Hite does mention the Bourne identity and the Jason Bourne trilogy pretty often in the Night's Black Agents core book. So that's kind of something that you can look to as opposed to old James Bond. It's more like new James Bond, where things are slightly more realistic, but your characters are still more on the heroic end. You're not in a cosmic horror world. You're in an espionage thriller world. So let's go ahead and switch over to the character sheet here. Earlier, I sent y'all a screenshot of some character concepts. Those are for some pre-gens for a different scenario. And I've taken one of them and implemented it here as an example for character creation. So this is the Whitman character, who was ex-CIA and had experience, I believe, in Iraq. And I've sort of merged that character concept with Zoe Saldana's character from Lioness, the new TV show. So her portrait is here, and I've given Whitman the first name of Sophie. Let me start with the very top. So in this first field, put your player name. That can be your username if you prefer, and then your player's pronouns. Here in the agent name, that's your character's name. The code name is optional. Your character's pronouns, your nationality or birthplace, and then your background. So, what was the jobs that you did directly before the campaign? Excuse me, the one shot story begins. So, I'm going with the option that you have all been recently burned, and burned is something in the spy world that means that you've been disavowed by your former agencies. So, for example, if you worked for the CIA, then they have decided that you are a rogue agent and you can't be trusted, and you're now on the burn list, which means that you no longer have access to any of the backup or tech or resources of the CIA, and you're also considered considered a rogue agent, and they will be hunting you down to bring you in or eliminate you until you've cleared your name. So something bad has happened and has been triggered in our story by the vampire conspiracy. So each of your characters has had at least one run-in with the vampire conspiracy. You're aware that vampires exist. You may or may not call them vampires yet, but you know that they're some kind of supernatural being that uh, is behind a lot of nefarious things in the world, including you getting burned. So you might have some motivation for payback. Speaking of motivation, the let's see. Let me finish talking about background. So background in that field, you want to put your your professional background, where you were before you got burned. So for the drive, this is your motivation. I am not mechanizing it in this system, so just maybe summarize what keeps you in the spy life and what motivates you to clear your name, um, or what motivates you to stay in this espionage life, basically. Um, then the refuge. This is me renaming Vice. Vice is from Blades in the Dark. I am not mechanizing it. It's just for flavor. In Blades, the vices, for example, are gambling, uh, drugs, money and entertainment, things like that. The things that you turn to during downtime to take your mind off of stressful missions. Um, I've renamed it Refuge because I wanted to be a little bit more inclusive of altruistic endeavors. So perhaps your character is involved with, a church mission or a charity or family or something like that. And the refuge slash vice represents the thing that might pull you out of this life. If you spend too much time worrying about your family, then you're going to be tempted to quit or retire. So I think that's an interesting dynamic, which incidentally was explored in Lioness. Let's see, recent history. I've included a field here that is optional for people who love writing backstories. It's a tiny box with tiny text. The cover IDs we probably won't be using during a one shot. And then stress is something to pay attention to. It's going to be your main resource that you're spending during the mission. It starts clear, and there are 9 boxes total. The last 3 are panic. Panic is both a buff and a drawback, but like I said, I don't think we'll get there in a one shot. Wounds you don't have to worry about. Armor you don't have to worry about. And then we come down to this section with attributes and skills. And here's where you're actually going to be making your mechanical decisions for character creation. So as you can see on the blank character sheets, I've pre-filled in 1 for the attributes. The decision you're making here is raise one of them to 2. And the difference between them is 1 is physical and 1 is mental, where prowess is the physical, resolve is the mental. Prowess is the attributes are used on defense. So prowess is what you're going to be rolling to jump out of the way of a grenade. Resolve is what you're going to be rolling to avoid cutting the wrong wire when you're diffusing a bomb under high pressure. So that's more mental. And it's also what you use to defend in social situations. The investigative skills and general skills. This is kind of where I want the most feedback. So, do the skills seem fun? Do they need a tweaking? There is another tab here at the bottom that says skill descriptions. And unlike the rules document, I do kind of need you to look over this. So spend about 5 or 10 minutes looking over the skill descriptions, and you'll note that there are fewer general skills and there are more investigative skills because this is a game about information and about finding clues and vulnerabilities in the conspiracy. And the definitions I've taken straight from Gumshoe, and I've already started altering it a little bit. So I've removed uh, bullshit detector and a couple of others. But on your character sheet, so we'll click back over to the agents tab. These I've implemented as drop downs. So when you click the select a skill, it'll drop down and it will show you all of your choices in a long list, and you just pick one of them. And the same for general skills. The ratings have been pre-filled, so at character creation, your distribution for investigative skills will be 2211, where 2 is better than 1. And then for general skills, 3221 are the ratings for those. And the grayed out places are for advancement. So I've included those in anticipation of, hey, if I ever want to take this for a longer campaign, there are extra spots for gaining new skills after character creation. But y'all don't have to worry about that. Once you've made these selections here, so 4 investigative, 4 general, then you're pretty much done. The one of the scenarios that I'm running, the mechanism is kind of special in terms of what the equipment is. So do me a favor and just don't worry about the equipment for right now. And you're basically finished with your character sheet. The rest of this is not going to really come up as critical during our session. And if you don't have time to make a character, then I will fill in a pre-generated character for you. Just let me know. I'll send a reminder midweek, and we'll try to have those characters created by Thursday. And I'm really looking forward to this. If you have any questions, just please let me know. Share your excitement, share your ideas, and I look forward to playing with you for this playtest. Thank you very much. Bye bye.